Content warning: the stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana, and this time literally with Blair and Alana.
Woohoo! Here I am.
Here we are. So today's date, the date this comes out, is February 18th, and it is the beginning of Grief Week. So today we're going to talk about what the heck is Grief Week, the history of it, what leading up to Grief Month is like, what Grief Week the lead up and prep is, and just how we're going to be spending it. So when you're listening to this, Alana and I are both mostly offline, but by offline, you mean I probably be posting a lot of sad stuff on social media, like as I do.
Yeah.
But before we dive into that, like we are in the middle of a book launch for Resilient AF Stories of Resilience Volume 2, and we fucking did it.
Yeah. It was a whirlwind.
And we're still in it. We're still in the middle of it. So
The eye of the storm.
so our very first book, the Global Resilience Project book, came out June 2022. We weren't sure if we're going to do another book. Our dead mom came to me in a dream. She was telling me how proud she was of me. So I woke up and felt inspired. And we then said, okay, we're doing another book. Resilient AF Stories of Resilience came out March 2024. And then 10 months later, our third anthology came out this past January, Resilient AF Stories of Resilience Volume 2. And what I like to say is as long as people want to share their stories with us, we'll keep putting out books. I mean, that's how I feel now, at least.
Yeah. I mean, hey, why not? Like, I think it's so important for people who want to share their stories to be able to have a platform to do so.
Right. And every story gets published in the book. We invite each author to our podcast. We share every story on our website because we believe every story deserves to get told. Not everyone can afford to buy a book because there is a higher cost to the printed book because it's a full colored book. But we are that safe space for people to share. And so this launch was unlike anything I had ever done before. And just like a recap of it, we
Mm.
decided we were going to do a billboard in Times Square in New York. And because I didn't want to leave anyone out from the first and second book, we decided to put all of our authors on the billboards. And so, between coordinating the right images for the billboards, working with designers on the billboards, scheduling the time, working with the billboard distribution company, whatever they are, the people who own the billboard, um, we were also putting out a book and we were hosting a brunch for whoever came to New York. And it ended up feeling like a small wedding, like Alana and I's first wedding. Congratulations. We are sister and sister.
I do.
I do. It's actually kind of funny. I'm just like thinking back to that conversation this summer where that person who's known us their entire life asked if we were partners.
That's so funny.
Anyways,
Partners for life.
yeah. What do you mean partners? Like partners for life, like sisters, not lesbian lovers. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just we're sisters and
Partners by blood
yeah.
and by
So
choice.
so
I'm just
anyways,
kidding.
so our billboard came out. Um so it started at midnight on the 25th of January, and it was going to air for 3 minutes on the 13th minute of every hour for 24 hours. And it was just so fucking cool because like we had people come in from all over the world, like as
Hmm.
close as Long Island and Manhattan to as far as Dubai, Spain, Mexico, all over North America. And, my mother-in-law joined us, which was such a treat. Our family, our great Auntie Pam and great Uncle Benny and our cousin Becky came. It was just so special. And so the billboard happening at midnight, changing over. I said, Alana, I don't care what we do. We need to stay up and be at the billboard for midnight 13 because I need to see this billboard. And we got to Times Square 10 minutes to midnight. 3 minutes to midnight, all of Times Square turns into a big art exhibit, which was so magical because I heard about this, but I didn't know what to expect. In fact, we were in line to get Krispy Kremes, and then like they told us that everything was going to shut down, and I was like, we're going to miss the billboard. Let's just leave." And so we saw this
Hmm.
art exhibit, and it just so happened that there was a convergence of various authors also wanting to see the first display of our billboard. And it was so beautiful. And I just had this like feeling of extreme proudness that we pulled it off. And I
Yeah.
had confidence that we would, but like this was a very big undertaking. on top of putting out a book. The billboard itself was its own thing. And so, the next day we arranged for our authors and a photographer to come and get photos at the billboard and get content. And, you know, um, that was really cool to have everyone together. And it was just so beautiful and special. And what I realized in hindsight was you didn't get a group photo. So I'm hoping there's some great behind the scenes. And then the next day we did a brunch at the Civilian Hotel in the Secret Garden Room. Beautiful old hotel, historic, beautiful art installations. It was just absolutely beautiful, plated brunch where everyone came together to celebrate being Resilient AF and publishing this book. It also, hit some number one best-selling charts on Amazon. It was amazing. And then from there, I went to Costa Rica to continue the book tour. I spoke at an event on top of a mountain in the jungle outside of Santa Teresa, and I fell in love with the area, the people. It was super magical. And now we're getting ready to, as we record this, to leave for Grief Week and then handing out copies of our book and Resilient AF sweaters at an Oscars gifting lounge to celebrities and media.
Mhm.
And last year at this time, the book didn't come out. The book came out right after Grief Week. And so we were
Yeah.
last year on a cruise and we were working on the final touches of the book. And it was not the way I wanted to spend Grief Week. So this year, I think the system is good and we're not working on the book at all. So,
No.
Alana, let's talk about maybe the history leading into Grief Week, going back to like
Mom's death.
I think like the anniversary of mom's death and our plans to spend it in Palm Springs and maybe walk
Okay.
us through all of that. Since A, you're a great storyteller, and B, your memory is much sharper than mine will ever be.
Yeah, my memory is a blessing and a curse. So our mom died, as you all know, because we like to mention it almost every time. But she died on February 23rd, 2021. And our last family vacation together was the previous February in Palm Springs, and our mom loved it there, and it was a fantastic time. So we decided that we were going to book an Airbnb for ourselves the following February on her anniversary. So I think the dates were something like the 18th to the 25th. And so we had literally booked this Airbnb 2 months after mom died for the following year. It was all paid for, whatnot. Fast forward 11 months, and our dad starts declining. And sure enough, he actually died. Surprise. Actually, you all know that too. Um, he died the day we were supposed to leave. So
Wait, hold on.
we,
Let's talk about with the doctor, because the doctor knew we had this very
oh,
important trip to honor
okay, yeah.
mom.
Oh my gosh, this doctor. I have a lot. This is a doctor not from the palliative program, just to be clear. So the doctor was like to me, we can keep him medicated to keep him alive so you can go on your trip. And I had an immediate reaction like, absolutely not. I told Blair and was like, this isn't going to be a yes. Like, we'll just postpone if we need to postpone. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, like
Like,
we weren't
we're
gonna keep
not
our dad
keeping,
alive to go honor our dead mom in Palm Springs.
like, there was just something so wrong about it. Anyways, so after our dad died, a couple weeks later, we ended up going to Palm Springs and we had a lovely time. And I guess that was like our unofficial grief week, not actually during the time where we wanted to be there, but we had a lovely time. And so we had made this pact that every year between the two dates of our parents dying, so February 18th and February 23rd, we would be together somewhere warm. So then the following year was our first official grief week.
Yeah.
And that was an experience. A lot was happening.
Yeah, we weren't. I mean, we're better now. I mean, I could speak, I think, for both of us. Like,
Yeah.
but we were not okay because the first official grief week would have been 2 year anniversary of our mom dying and 1 year of our dad dying. And
Hmm.
so the 18th and the 23rd of February. And so we thought, let's go back to Palm Springs. We'll rent an Airbnb with a pool and just like high level. The weather wasn't what we wanted it to be. The Airbnb hosts were crooks. We
They were
realized we need
cuckoo.
someone to like take care of us to an extent in the sense of like making our beds and like maybe feeding us.
Yeah.
And it was just like really funny because like between those two sad days, we went to the happiest place on earth. I've never been to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And mom had promised us years, every year, like she would take us, and she never did. So I felt very much like it was something I wanted to do. And like, let's not, let's go to the happiest place on earth where, but between the two saddest days on earth. And that was an
Hmm.
experience. We had a lot of fun. I almost barfed. Space Mountain made me cry. Like the traffic was crazy, but like we had a lot of fun. Didn't meet Cinderella, but
I had a sing along in the car that Blair did not appreciate.
well, no. First, we would play songs, and Alana couldn't help but sing. And so I would play the song again. I'm like, okay, now let's listen to it again without you singing. But you couldn't help it. And eventually you got it, but then you would just dance, and that was fine. We only argued once that trip, and that was because you wanted to listen to Joseph and the
Joseph.
Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I was like, we are not listening to Joseph.
It was
So
it's such a good soundtrack.
it
I
was just like
listened to it
that.
the other day.
I wasn't craving it, I guess. So anyways, at the end of that trip, we got in a little bit of trouble from our Airbnb host. They accused us of smoking inside. First of all, I've never had a cigarette in my life.
Never.
They accused us of staining the sheets. And like I may have gotten some chocolate in the sheet, but chocolate comes out. And like there was some other stuff. And Alana basically deleted her Airbnb again and was like, I'm never ever using Airbnb again. And so I said to Alana the things that I never thought would I would say, which was, we should maybe go on a cruise.
And I immediately booked one
Okay,
for the
so
following year.
for our second official Grief Week last year, we did a cruise. And so, of course, in Grief Week fashion, we meet somewhere warm, we get excited. This time we have matching shirts, which I'm currently wearing. Boop, boop,
Very
boop. The
nice.
montage collage of our dead parents. Um, we get so excited to just like be warm and like lie on the adult deck and like go to the spa. Of course, it rained every single day of our tropical vacation. And the one day it didn't, where were we? Cayman Islands, Bahamas, somewhere.
Turks and Caicos.
And like we knew it'd be hot and there would be no clouds. So we're like, let's go out at 8 a.m. and like get a good spot. And by 11, we were like super sunburned and had to go inside.
We overdid it.
We overdid it. Alana, like, got her usual pukies.
Yeah,
But it
classic.
was really good. It was good to be together. It was just like hilarious. And so after that trip, we thought, should we do a different cruise with less people? And then we came back around to, okay, why don't we try Palm Springs again?
Hmm.
This time we'll stay in a resort. And so we have the people making the beds for us, and there is a restaurant. We have a food credit. Alana and I, like, we're perfectly happy with Target, Trader Joe's, like yogurts and fruit. Like, we're very like easy to please when it comes to feeding us.
Hmm.
And so we are going to be this time trying to stay at like a resort. So we're not getting our own place. It is not through Airbnb.
We're sharing a
We're
room.
sharing a room, and then from Palm Springs, we're going to be continuing the book launch tour. And so, but so like that's a hybrid. So right now, when you're listening to this, we are on officially day two, like the first full day, which
Hmm.
is February 18th, which is the day our dad died. And I want to talk about Mom Day and Dad Day in a second, but let's talk about like what has life been like leading up to Grief Month. So February is Grief Month for us.
Hmm.
And I have other times in the year that it's a shitty month. Like November also sucks, but February sucks the most. Um, and usually leading up to it, I'm like dreading it ahead of time. And this time I felt like I was so preoccupied with our book launch that February came and I was in Costa Rica and I wasn't like, oh, Grief Month is here, which was such a
Mm.
pleasant surprise in my brain, but somatically my body knew.
Yeah. The
What was
body
it
keeps
like?
the
Yeah.
score.
What was it like for you leading up to Grief Month?
Well, the beginning of January was kind of rough, I would say, for me. Um, was it beginning of January? Yeah. I was trialing different medications for some health stuff, and so that was like impacting my mood and my affect. And so for me, grief month is February, but it starts to trickle around mom's birthday, January 17th, because essentially what I do every year on her birthday is I'll have a piece of Jeannie's cake, and then Blair and I will. light a candle and sing happy birthday. But the reason I do Jeannie's cake, which is this cake that is an acquired taste in Winnipeg, that um, my mom used to have it every year on her birthday, and her last birthday alive, which was only like a month essentially before she died, she said, I'll have Jeannie's cake when I'm better. I'm not feeling like it right now. And so it's my like, I feel like it's my duty and a way to honor her on her birthday. Anyway, so it started trickle that to trickle then. Then we had New York, so I was a bit distracted. And then, yeah, February came, and the first thing I noticed was my sleep started to get affected. I really have been struggling falling asleep, staying asleep, and I'm usually a pretty decent sleeper in that, like, I can fall asleep with no issue. So reflecting on that, that's what's been happening a lot in my body. Um, and just, yeah, February, I'm a little bit more irritable and um, Blair's nodding her head. She probably had, we had a little back and forth yesterday. We're fine. We're sisters.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like I just notice it. Like my mood changes, my sleep changes. Um, I find I'm wanting more comfort foods. And then, so I'm someone who's like a little bit of an anxious traveler. Not actually once I'm at the airport, but leading up to trips, I get very anxious. And I noticed it weeks before Grief Week this year, where usually it's like a 2 or 3 days, but it's like, am I going to forget things? Like just things that aren't rational. So that's how Grief Week shows up for me in my body and my head.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that you go through that. And like it's interesting every year coming back and reflecting on it. I think also depends on like what else is happening in our life, right? So,
Hmm.
like, I find the winter really lonely, and yeah, I'm doing travel, and that's been really helpful doing some traveling and seeing you a lot. But I find winter very isolating and lonely, and like I definitely struggle when I'm here in Kamloops. Um, so I didn't notice anything till I got back from Costa Rica. And it really kind of started with like somatically again, my stomach, like my stomach wasn't well. Like I was having trouble, like just my stomach food just didn't sit well. And my anxiety has been worse than it normally is. But my dreams are crazy and
Mm.
like crazy dreams. And I've texted you about a few of them. And
Hmm.
I journal about them. And I'll share one that I haven't journaled about because it's fine. But like my dreams are always really vivid. And like our Zeta Jack came to visit me one dream, and he's passed away, and my grandma, his wife, is still alive. And like we were at their old house, and it was a very weird dream. The house was a mess. We were looking at slides. I was like wondering where Baba was, and he needed to get
Hmm.
me home to River Heights, to our childhood home. And like he like eventually drove a taxi. And I thought that was weird because Zeta doesn't come to me very often in dreams. And I've
Interesting.
had a couple other dreams where mom's alive and she's healthy, but dad is dying. And
Mm.
he physically is fine, like he's not in his like wheelchair or connected to oxygen, but he's like in active addiction and like knows he's dying and running around being just like chaotic human. And like I'm just like trying to find him and like spend time with him, but he would rather be chaotic and do his non-family duty, familia, so I don't know what the word is. He's just like not showing up as a father.
Mm. It's
And
familial
so,
duty.
yeah, familial duty. I'm like, what's the word? And so a couple nights ago, so Shane and I often right now sleep in different rooms. He has sleep apnea and does not have a CPAP. He had a test CPAP to see if it helped, and it did. And now he needs to get one, and it's like just kind of a process with medical coverage. And so when he's home during the week, I need him to sleep in a different bedroom because I need my sleep. We have sleepovers on
Hmm.
weekends. And so last night we had a sleepover, and I ended up on the couch, of course. But so, and I sleep talk. And like when I'm with Alana and I sleep talk, she's now in the habit of like texting me when she wakes up because it's sometimes really funny.
Yeah.
But I guess like I'm just a bit more active now leading up to Grief Week. And I was having this crazy dream. And the dream was this was 2 nights ago. And the dream was so vivid, like it felt like it was real. And when mom was alive, she was planning my 40th birthday, which is in August, and we were on this cruise, and it was a private cruise from the first stop was the Caribbean, and it was like this weird eclectic ship of like it felt like we were like in an old historic home and like every room had a different theme and like all
Fun.
my friends were there like from my childhood, my current friends, and like mom planned it. The Kardashians were there. It was very weird. And but the whole time, dad was running around in his active addiction and he was supposed to die the week we were gone. And I was just really upset. And I just remember running like from room to room, checking in on all my friends, making sure they saw all the private pools there were. And I don't know. I didn't remember this till yesterday. But so we have two cats, and Duffy is like our older cat. I like to say it's Shane's cat. Like it's
Hmm.
our cat. It's Shane's cat, and he sleeps with Shane. And I guess he was sleeping on Shane's stomach. And in my Shane said this might have been around 3 a.m. But I screamed, "Let go of me!" And it scared like Shane. Shane sleeps through everything, but it scared Duffy so bad that it woke Duffy jumped and Shane woke up. But it's funny because I remember waking myself up yelling and like looking around and being so embarrassed. I'm like, what is like I knew I was yelling. I didn't know what I was saying, but I woke myself up. So that's been happening. Active dreams and sleep yelling to the point
Oh
where
gosh. Can't wait to see what I'm in for in
I
a
mean,
couple
I
days.
don't, yeah, I mean, it's just funny because like I thought I just grunted, and when I was yelling, I didn't realize I yelled, let go of me really loud at 3
Funny.
a.m. So like my dreams have been really weird. Last night, Bob Saget was in my dream.
Oh,
I don't know, he's never come to visit me, so hey, Bob.
rest in paradise, Bob.
But yeah, and so like somatically, like obviously, like your body remembers, and like for us, it's like a double doozy because like coming up to mom's anniversary, dad was dying, so it's like our body was going through like this extreme grief. Yes.
I just raised my finger for those who are listening. I another thing I noticed this morning is like my eyes are puffier again, and that I think is something I noticed looking back at my pictures from 2021 after mom died up until 2023. Like I have like this puffiness, and I woke up this morning and I looked at my eyes. I'm like, huh. It's like my body's having like a physical reaction to grief week.
Yeah. I can't really tell, so that's good for mom.
That's good.
But maybe in person when I see you in a couple days. I'll let you know if you look puffy, I guess. But yeah, and like I've just well, coming up to the Oscars, we're doing it a bit different this time, and we've had to like I've had to ship stuff, and it's just like I was trying to like figure out how to get 100 crew necks to LA from Kamloops, and I unpacked them all from boxes and tried to put them in suitcases, and then I was like, this is not working. It was too chaotic, and I ended up like having to have Shane help me repack things and I shipped them. I thought it was going to be thousands of dollars to ship and it wasn't, thank God. But so now
Oh
we just got
God.
to hope they get there on time and there's probably going to be a big duty charge and I'm just ready for that because that's what might happen. But yeah, extra layers of stress and I see everything as a learning opportunity when it comes to creating systems and processes with our flow in the business, but also giving ourselves that space to, take the time we need. Like yesterday, I was not in a good place. And I, before dinner, took the time to have a candlelit bath at like 4 p.m. And like it just kind of reset me. And I think
Mm.
that's okay if you need to do that. So, how are we spending mom day and dad day? Dad day and mom day? Well,
Well,
first
I
of
think.
all, hold on. We should start with we are going to wear the same matching shirts if you're watching the video.
Mhm.
But we're going to change the 4 to a 5. And I guess that's just what we'll do every year because these are pretty awesome shirts.
Yeah. And we don't need to create more stuff just to create more stuff.
Yeah.
Um, well, what I think we're gonna do, um, is if you're listening to this in the morning, we may currently be at Andreas Canyon on a hike. It's mine and maybe Blair's, but it's definitely my favorite hike in the Palm Springs area. It's like maybe like 2 kilometers, not that long, but you kind of feel like you're a dinosaur with all the like, I don't know, it's cool.
Alana. Alanosaurus.
Allosaurus Rex,
Blairceratops. That would make
Blairceratops,
sense to be an Alanoceratops.
Yeah, because my middle name's Sarah. Yeah, Alloceratops and
And a
Blairsaurus.
Blairosaurus Rex. Yeah, yeah. So there's a good chance that when you're listening to this, we are hiking the canyon or we've just finished.
Yep.
And
Uh,
then what else are we doing?
well, we will probably be horizontal by the pool and maybe engage in some other physical activity,
But probably not.
but probably not. It's always our best intention, but and then we'll probably eat and go to Trader Joe's and Target.
Yeah.
We won't.
Or we won't. But giving ourselves grace on those days is great. And so for Mum Day on the 23rd,
Hmm.
I was looking and where we're staying has complimentary yoga for guests every morning. And so maybe we start the day off with yoga, then a hike, or a hike, then yoga.
Yeah, and then we have dinner plans that night. We made a reservation. A friend of ours so kindly gave us a gift card for a restaurant that she likes in Palm Springs, and she was really fond of our mom. And so I thought that would be a good day for us to go for dinner at
And
that
then what we
place.
didn't share with will also be just lying horizontal.
Oh yeah, we're lying horizontal.
Yeah. And actually, my other intention, so there's a couple things for Grief Week. I'm starting to work on a proposal for us, like a prescriptive memoir, somewhat self-help memoir. And if I feel, I don't want to feel like I have to, but if I feel inspired, I want to definitely spend time writing. And I've been really excited about it. So that might be a really great way for me to spend time by the pool, as well as reading. I'm in the middle of a few really great books, and
Hmm.
I'm getting back into arts and crafts, so we'll see what if I bring any with me or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have to look for my crossword books.
Yeah, Alana and I basically are going to be like Golden Girls. So that's Grief Week. Our plan is to do yoga, probably go on a hike or a walk of sorts every day. We've been to Palm Springs multiple times, so we don't necessarily need to go see the sights. We have friends there. Our mom's friends go there. We'll probably see people we know. For me, it's like going home, like it's like a homecoming because there's a lot of people I love from Winnipeg that are usually there. And it's just a place for us to find stillness in whatever capacity that looks like, to
Hmm.
really honor our parents. And it's a beautiful ritual, Grief Week. And we like to say it's like spring break for sad people. And I think this is a great invitation that, why not create a ritual around the loss of someone you love? And it doesn't have to be as extravagant as traveling to somewhere warm to be with your sibling, but it could be.
It's very nice. Highly recommend. Not the parent dying part, but the going somewhere nice with your sibling.
Yeah. So on that note, is there anything else you want to share or update us on, Alani, Badani?
Mm, no, I'm good.
Oh, you're funny. Okay, well, on that note, we're gonna be, showing up every Tuesday on this podcast. We got some really cool
Mhm.
guests coming up. If you're just discovering us now, go back, start at episode 1. If you want to go really deep, we have another podcast. We're not posting anymore on that one, but it's called Radical Resilience. It kind of documents a fair amount of the journey that we've been on.
Hmm.
But I just want to say to you, Alana, I'm excited for our third official,
Grief
fourth
week.
unofficial Grief Week. And I'm excited to see what a homecoming to Palm Springs is like. Next year, we're talking about potentially, and like this isn't for sure, but there's a potential of us maybe doing it in Costa Rica.
Hmm.
And, maybe Palm Springs shows up every second year. Who knows? Or if that doesn't work out, we're back in Palm Springs. We're just figuring it
Yeah.
all out. And the goal is to be together and warm.
Yeah. Happy grief week, everyone.
Happy Grief Week, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. We do this every week. Sometimes it's just me and a guest. Sometimes it's me and Alana. Sometimes it's, well, those are the only two options. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
me, Alana, and a guest, which is also
Hmm.
very exciting. You want to check out any of our books, you can go to theglobalresilienceproject.com. Just remember, like, life is fucking hard, but it's also beautiful. And, there's the good and the bad, the sad, the happy, everything in between, but you don't have to go through it alone. We are here with you. We're here to walk through the hard stuff with you, to hold your hand, to be in the thick of it with you. You will get through it. Just put one foot in front of the other. And just remember, you are resilient AF. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.